The Sigma FP is one of the cameras that a lot of people are doing videos on right now. I got my hands on one from Sigma Canada a couple weeks ago, and this is my hands-on review. So if you clicked on this video, you likely already know a bit about the Sigma FP, or you probably maybe already know a lot about the Sigma FP. For myself, I wanted to test out this camera to see if it would work in a certain practical application that I wanted a small full frame camera to work in. And one of those applications that I really wanted to try out is it being a small, awesome little gimbal camera. I do a lot of run and gun work, a lot of tourism work, and having a second camera on a gimbal that is small and light, something like an Osmo, but being better than an Osmo, better image than an Osmo, can be very, very valuable to me. So really the camera that I was hoping for and looking for and wanted forever is this one that's on my Inspire 2 drone. You know, the X5R from DJI. This shoots amazing images, and the gimbal works amazingly well, and I can change out lenses on it. And I'm looking for something like this small form factor that can be on a little hand gimbal. That's really something I'm looking for and what I was kind of hoping for with this Sigma FP. Before you guys start kind of blowing up on the comments here, letting me know DJI has already made that, they already have one for that. Well, they kind of did, and they don't anymore. So they had the Osmo Pro that was using the same camera. They don't make that anymore, but it was not shooting to the SSD. So the SSD on this is on the back of the camera, and it did not shoot to the SSD, so you couldn't do ProRes and you couldn't do RAW out of the camera on that little Osmo Pro. Now, before that, the camera before that, which was the X5, I forget what it was, X5R or X5, whatever model it was, it did have that available because the SSD was different. The SSD was in the actual casing where the camera mounts on here. The SSD went on there, but that was a different SSD. The ones I have, that was for the Inspire 1, and it did not do ProRes. It only did RAW. So I was really hoping that the Sigma FP could be a camera that could fill that spot for me. I do have the Blackmagic Pocket 4K and the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. We've used both on the Ronin S. They are very heavy on the Ronin S. They're heavy cameras. They're hard to balance on it. We can get them to work, but it's very heavy. It takes a lot of things, and they suck batteries like crazy. We even have the adapter to go from the battery, pulling power from the Ronin S to the camera. That drains the battery on the Ronin S in like 45 minutes. So we have a second Ronin S battery, but it's not really that practical, especially for doing stuff if we're on skis or on a snowboard and falling beside people, because the camera becomes way too heavy that way, especially for a pistol style grip. So the Lona camera I got from Sigma came with one battery and one lens. It came with their 45mm lens. It comes with a kit lens, but it also came with the adapter so I could use my EF lenses on there. So I was using some of my other Sigma glass, my Sigma Art Series lenses on the camera. It only came with one battery, and I was really worried about this when I first got it because, you know, Blackmagic ones using those Canon batteries in it, the battery life sucks. This thing was pretty damn good. I did a few different shoots with it, knowing I only had one battery, trying to do stuff pretty quickly, but this shoot I did with this glass blower, if you can see some of the footage here, I also, you can watch the full video, the full edit of it, which was just over 2 minutes that I have on my YouTube as well. Shooting with this glass blower, I shot there with one battery, and I shot there for about 3 hours, and there was no issues. I still had battery left in the end, and that was pretty impressive. One of the reasons I also chose to go and shoot with this glass blower was that I knew it was going to be a very challenging environment. We had very, very bright situations, like when she's putting stuff into the kiln to fire the glass. You had burning hot glass. We had mixture of daylight coming in from outside. It was kind of an overcasty, snowy day. And you also had her tungsten light, practical lights are inside. I didn't use any other lighting in there. And I shot with most of it handheld, some of it on my Rhino slider, and all of it with my Art Series 24mm lens or my 50mm Canon prime lens. That's what we shot everything on. I was also shooting this all to DNG RAW, 12-bit RAW to an SSD. Okay, so it's to a Samsung SSD. I was shooting all the footage to that. That's really what I wanted to test out. I was not concerned with the internal recording on it. I wanted to see how great this 12-bit DNG RAW is. Again, that's what I shoot a lot with my Inspire 2, and then I process that. So my workflow a lot when I am shooting DNG RAW off of a camera would be to shoot that footage, shoot on my SSDs or the SSDs that are with the camera, then come back to the studio, put that into DaVinci Resolve. I don't edit in DaVinci Resolve. I haven't really delved into that yet, so I'll process it in DaVinci Resolve. I will change the color profile from it to Blackmagic and Blackmagic Film, and I'll export it as a ProRes 422 or 422 HQ. And then I'll bring that in and I will work with it in Adobe Premiere, and that's typically how I do stuff on the Inspire 2 as well. My next real test with the camera was to use it in the situation where I wanted to be using the camera, where I was looking at purchasing the camera to have it all the time, which would be sitting on a gimbal and always being ready on the gimbal. And that would probably be 90% of the time I would use this camera. So I had it set up on the Ronin S. I had the Nucleus, the Tilta Nucleus Nano follow focus set up on it. And I had it with the Sigma Art Series 35mm lens, which is an awesome lens. I think a great lens for a gimbal, for your focal length on it. We went to the Blumination Trail, the Dream Trail at Blue Mountain Village. That's really close to where we live in Ontario, Canada. And I took my daughters and they brought a friend, and I just filmed with them walking around the village at night. It was snowing quite a bit. The lights there are beautiful. We got some different things. And again, it was a pretty challenging kind of environment to shoot in with the snow, moving around. Brought the images back, started processing it, and I was pretty much blown away by how good the images looked, how well it retained stuff in the darks, how just the clarity of the image, the sharpness of the image was beautiful. Okay, so you could, and the skin tones looked awesome on it too. There's tons of mixed lighting going on in this environment there because of all the different lights they had, and it performed extremely well. I'm gonna say I was extremely impressed and thought this could make an awesome gimbal camera. Again, the battery, when we were in there for a couple hours, worked no problem the whole time while shooting outside in the cold. Now, my downside, my few little things about this camera that I wish it had, they're not like things that are wrong with it. I would love for it to have 60p in RAW at 12-bit RAW, even if it was a crop in on the sensor a bit. Right now, you can only do 30 or 24 when you are shooting in 12-bit RAW. Having that little bit more slow motion, for me, for a lot of the work that I do, for the tourism kind of work that I do, for the capturing skiing elements, for capturing other sports outside and activities outside, that slow-mo is a big deal. And having that slow-mo in a 4K RAW is awesome. That's one of the reasons that I think the Blackmagic pocket cameras are so great and so great for what I'm doing, but they also aren't the right form factor and just, as we talked about before, for fitting on a gimbal. So if Sigma was to do an update to this camera and came out with 60 frames per second, going 4K, even in a crop on it, I would buy this right away. I'd buy this right now. Thanks so much, guys, for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please think of subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell to get notified. I'm going to be having a lot more video content coming out like this, where I'm going to be doing real-world reviews of cameras and equipment that I actually use or have used long-term. Thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you in the next one.